Hello everyone and welcome. My name is John Preston Smith. I'm the author of 14,000 Dogs Later, My Life with Dogs and What I've Learned, and my most recent book, which is entitled The Bog, The Legend of Man's Best Friend. This is the second in a series of videos about dogs that have been my best friends, my personal best friends over my life, and what I have learned from each one of those canine critters. Last week I talked with you about my first two dogs, Jeep and Taxi, and told you what those dogs taught me. This week I'm going to segue away from my best friends and talk with you about another group of dogs that I remember. And that's the group of dogs that I consider the most difficult dogs to train. I'm always interested to know, by the way, how you feel about my videos, so feel free to leave your comments at any time. The first group of dogs that are difficult to train are dogs that bite, particularly fear and sneak biters. If you follow this blog in about 3 or 4 weeks, I'll devote a single video to my opinions regarding dogs that bite. You may not be happy with what my views are. I can tell you this. Retraining a biting dog ranks fairly high on the difficulty meter. The second group of dogs that are most difficult to train are dogs that have not been socialized. Once again, I will be discussing proper socialization methods in one of my upcoming blogs. In the meantime, imagine this. A litter of pups are kept in a basement or a garage until about 6 weeks of age. Each is then sold and taken to a different home. No matter how well they are treated, the lack of human contact and exposure to the world in that first 6 to 7 week period will weigh heavily upon a dog's behavior and trainability. The third group of dogs are dogs that have been abused. I can pick this dog out on the first night of training classes. I know this dog when his master takes him from the car. I know this dog when his master walks him into the training center. And I know this dog when I walk up to welcome and greet him. Mostly it happens because the master bought the wrong dog. He may want the dog for one activity, but he never had the dog temperament tested to ascertain if he was purchasing a dog that was up to the task at hand. And therefore, the master becomes heavy-handed in attempting to make the dog into something impossible for that dog to become. Many times dogs are abused before the present owner brings the dog to training classes. And many times dogs are abused by impatient, edgy, or intolerant masters. And guess what? I can pick out those guys as well on the first night of training classes. The fourth group of dogs that are difficult to train are dogs that are mentally impaired. There's not much need for me to elaborate about this type of dog. So there you have it, the dogs that I consider to be the most difficult dogs to train. Probably not what you expected. Maybe you expected me to name certain breeds. Okay, how about this? How about the flip side? How about I tell you what dogs I consider to be the easiest dogs to train? If you would be interested in my thoughts on that topic, just let me know. So what have I learned from each of these groups of dogs that I told you about in this session? From fear and sneak biters, I learned caution. From dogs lacking socialization, I learned patience. From abused dogs, I learned compassion. And from mentally impaired dogs, I learned to be observant. In the meantime, until my next session, please consider purchasing my book, The Bog, The Legend of Man's Best Friend. It's a story about the spiritual connection between man and his dog, and all proceeds benefit our local children's hospital. And in closing, remember this. Everybody needs a dog, and every dog needs somebody. You take care.